So in the last session, we have done with transactions. We'll be going to the transaction now, right? So the things happen: ripple edit, roll edit, slip edit, slide edit, stretch edit. All these things has been done, right? Ripple, roll, slip, slide, stretch. 5 like fast cut editing or advanced editing has been done. Now we'll see like how to transactions. Now we'll go for transactions. So let us note down on a paint. Transactions. So what is transactions and how many type of transactions are there? Basically, there are 2 type of transactions: audio transactions and video transaction. Now, what is transaction? That is first thing, right? Transaction is a process through which one sort travel into the next sort. That is called transaction. One sort travel to the next sort. It may be a cut, it may be some effects, but one travel to the next. This phase is called transaction. The phase from one sort to the next sort is technically called transactions. Now, learning the software video transactions is just one click go. We can get it finished your, the syllabus. So syllabus completing is so easier. So let me show you how to make the transactions. Then we'll go for depth learning, basic learning, then depth learning. So let us take an example. We are taking this sort. So one. So let us put the I, and if it is a single sort.
सबसे खतरनाक टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की बीच.
So this is long, sir. So we can easily understand this. What is transaction is I. So let's go here. We are there in the same sort. O for out transactions, like out point. Go to in point and just make it move till the time we are getting the maximum edge. So get it zoom. Yes. Okay, this is one of the sort. So let us down it up. And I've just taken the video only. So I'm not talking to the audio now. Get it shown. So this is one of the sort. Okay. So let's move to the next sort. So maybe like still like it is having more frames. So you can drag it up. So it is a lengthy sort now. Now let's go for some other sort. This is a long sort. I, O, I, and just drag and drop. So this is 2 sorts. If you see the sort, then suddenly it will be a jump. Okay. So this is a jump. So to avoid the jump, what default the software does, there is a keyboard shortcut called video transactions. It is there in your sequence, and apply video transaction. Can you see Control D is a command through which default transaction will be applied. So this is a fade in, fade out, where one sort slowly get dissolved and the next sort slowly get appear. So this is default transactions, Control D. So within one button go over. So it can be placed at any edge. It may be in the starting, Control D, or it may be in the middle of 2 sort, Control D, or it may be in the end of the movie, Control D. So now go to know within very fast cut, CTRL plus D, Control D, video transaction. Fade in, fade out. Apply video transaction. Control D. Just one command and your whole video becomes smooth by default. Now, a transaction are applied to the edge of your clip. Where the transaction is applied? At 2 places. One, in the edge of a clip, or within the edge of 2 clip. Edge of 2 clip. So edge of a clip is allowed. So to apply the transaction, it doesn't require two clips. Within one clip also, you can able to apply the transaction. Let us take an example. If this is having one clip only, so you can able to apply it in the starting also. So within a first clip also, you can able to apply the transaction. So transaction doesn't require always to have two clips. This is what we have understood. But if two clip is there, then the jump will happen. To avoid the jump, the transaction is applied. And applying the transaction, we got to know where is the option. It is there inside your sequence menu, and go for Control D, where the transaction is applied to the edge, either in the start or in the middle or in the end, the next. After applying, yes, it should be Control D, sequence, Control D, automatic fade in, fade in. Exactly, and look at the fade out. So the length is small, so I'll do it up to the next clip. So the clip fade out, Control D. So slowly the movie will get down. Control D, finish. Select the clip and hit the Control D, job is done. If you're starting, then fade in. If it is ending, fade out. If it is in middle, then slowly one will get fade in, another will get fade out. So now we have understood how to apply the Control D command. Is it okay? Will I move to the next? So next, controlling. How to control the transaction. Now we got to know where to apply the transaction. What is the keyboard shortcut of the transaction? And where is the option called transaction? It is there inside your sequence menu, and apply video transaction. Inside the sequence, it is there. Sequence, apply video transactions, right? Where it is there, what it is, how many types, that already we have learned. Now we'll be learning how to control the transaction. How to control the transaction. Question is over. How to control the transaction. Transactions are controlled in a special window that is called effect control window. Inside the effect control window, it is a place where the transaction is controlled. And the second control is there in the timeline. Inside the timeline, also we can able to control. So what are the things can be controlled inside the effect control, and what are the things can be controlled inside the timeline control? So this is what the question, and this is the place. So let us see this place. Where is effect control, and where is inside the timeline will be controlling the transaction. So let's go to the effect control. Effect control is there inside your windows, and go for effect control. Hope you can able to see the command Shift +5. Shift +5. So this is the place where you can able to control the transactions. Shift 5. Now let us open the Shift 5. Yes, already it is open somewhere. Now again, you can able to open this by getting it off. Okay, if it is not visible, then just find out this is what effect control it is there. So if it is not there, so we can able to get it on effect control. Now, this is a place where the transaction will be controlled, but how to select the transaction? Switch to the timeline, click on this, then you can find the effect control will show you the transactions. And it will show you two images, A and B. If it is applied in the center of your clip, then you can all find the A and B very clearly. So let us apply the transaction in the center by Control D. And the time you select, we can see this A is the first clip, B is the second clip. So now we can switch on this button and can find what these clips are. So this is the A clip and this is the B clip. Visually, you can able to see it up, or else you can find the name called A and B for the first clip and the second clip. So hope we got to know where the transaction is controlled and how to see the clips. By switch on this button, you can able to see the clips. Is it okay? Now the next, what are the things here and how we can able to control it? As if you got to know, transaction can be controlled inside the timeline and in the effect control. Let us see in the timeline first. So inside the timeline, if you go to the edge of your transactions, you can able to get the edge to get smaller or bigger, just like your clip. Transaction itself is a clip. It does have a length. We can able to make the length to get down or increase the length. So we can able to understand now the transaction length can be controlled by the edge inside the timeline, as if you are doing to the clip. So hope we got to know how to just drag it up as if you are dragging to the clip in the edge. Same way, this is also a clip. We can drag it up so the transaction length can be changed. Is it okay? Now, the same thing can be done inside your effect control also. Now, we have seen how to change the length of your clip, transaction clip, but we can also make the transaction also shift to the left side more or right side more. So the position of the transaction can be changed. The length of the transaction can be changed inside the timeline. To change the length of your transactions, yes, we can drag to the edge, and to change the position of your transactions, drag in the middle. As if like the clip, drag it up. Mouse to. Aim, no keys. Aim key ledu. Just drag change. Then the transaction could be shift to the A side or B side, any of the side. If it is more towards the A side, then the more transaction will be revolving in the first clip. And if it is more in the B clip, then more transaction will be applied to the B clips. So now we have understood inside the timeline how to change the length of the transaction, how to change the position of the transaction. Now we'll see the same thing in the timeline. Inside the timeline, transaction does have a special timeline over here. This is also a place where you can also change this position. Transaction position can be changed. Transaction length can be changed, just like this. So hope we got to know now how to change the transaction position and length in both the places, in the effect controller as well as in the timeline. Hope online does it okay? Or we can use the chat box.
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much for the response. Fine. So hope we can able to move now to the impact of the transactions. Now we'll be learning how to change the impact of the transaction, the intensity of the transaction. By default, the transaction starts from 0 intensity, goes to the maximum intensity, and ends with a 100% intensity. But here you can see the intensity over here. Start with 0%, end with a 100% transactions. But if you need to start the transaction in the middle suddenly, then you can see now, instead of starting with zero melt, it starts with a sudden jerk. Sometimes it is required, and it can be done by changing the intensity over here. So hope we got to know transaction can be start from 0 intensity, or it can be start at sudden intensity. It is allowed. And exactly the same way, transaction can able to go and melt to the B clip completely, or you want to suddenly get it stopped. Yes, you can change it. Suddenly this transaction will get closed. As per the bit into concern, as per the music into concern, this transaction also can be played up. So hope we got to know transaction can be start with smooth, or end with smooth, or else start with middle jerk, ends with middle jerk. It is allowed. So intensity of the transaction can be controlled. So let us list down what are the things can be controlled inside the transaction. What can be controlled? Where can be controlled? Over. What can be controlled? Question over about the transaction, and the answer is position, length, intensity. 3 things we can able to control. Where to place, how much the length, and what is the intensity. Does it 0 to 100, or 50 to 60, or 50 to 70, 10 to 20? That all things can be done. So we are just learning what is the information to get a job, but the transaction is to be get avoided. So before going to the innovative transactions learning, we'll complete one more part of the transactions. What more transactions are available? What more transactions, right? We have seen only the default transaction control rate, that is fed in, fed out, right? Fed in and fed out. This is the default transaction of the video. But except to this transaction, what are more transactions are available in Premiere? Question over. Now the answer. Transaction does have 100 of transactions. Where it is? It is there inside your effect window. It is there inside your effect window. Inside the effect, video transaction, video transactions. So let us see now, where is video transactions? Go to the windows, ask for effects. Inside the effect, you can find video transactions. Inside the video transactions, a lot of transactions are there. And inside each folder, again, a lot of transactions are there. Now we have seen very smooth transactions inside the Premier. Okay, this part is over. Now we'll be learning how to apply transactions, how to apply new transactions, how to apply or exchange. How to apply or exchange the transaction. Already if it is applied, then how to exchange it. Only the questions and the answer is there on your screen now. Once you have seen where is the transaction, just drag the transactions and drop inside the existed transaction. Job is done up. We find now the transaction becomes new. So hope we can all find this is a new transactions applied to this with the same amount of intensity. So we got to know now how to extend the transaction. If already one transaction is there, just drag the transaction and drop over here. The job is done. And we find the same like intensity, but in a different style. Is it okay? So we have understood now how to exchange the transaction. Just drag and drop over here and the transaction is done. So 100 of transactions are there. We can drag and drop over here. This is 3D bunch. 3-dimensional type of transactions are there. Again, dissolve is there. Dissolve also a lot of different type of dissolves are there. We can start up asking default is cross dissolve, but we can change a lot of styles are there. So special effects slide transactions are generally used inside the news channels. So let us see what is slide transactions. Bend slides, push. So one clip gun, the next information start. So very smooth transactions are there inside it. So 100 of transactions are there and you can drag and drop. And the controlling method is the same. Once I apply the transactions, just have a clip and the rest of the things are controlled here. So hope we have understood now how to exchange the transaction. So drag and drop onto the so here the name called dissolve and dissolve cross dissolve is fade in fade out. So drag and drop, so it by default fade in and fade out. So a lot of transactions are there, we can drag and drop. Hope we have understood now how to apply new transactions. Is it okay? And yes, if there is no transactions, doesn't matter. We can move to the transaction window, start dragging and dropping. So new transactions can be applied by drag and drop. But control D is default transaction, that is your dissolved transactions, the software given, but rest of the transaction can be drag and drop. So it may be, or now we got to know how to apply the transactions. Now we'll be learning how to delete a transaction. What is the topic now? How to delete. The same way how you are deleting to a clip, just select the transaction and delete in your keyboard. So how to delete? Yes, select this and just hit the delete button on your keyboard, the transaction gone. So on your keyboard, so OSK also, so this is the button delete. So in your keyboard, where is the delete button? Yes, delete. Delete. So now we have understood. So let us make a summary what we have learned regarding the transaction. So check my spell. We got to know how to apply the transaction, right? Then we got to know how to move the transaction. Then we got to know how to exchange the transaction. Then we got to know how to control the transaction. Control in the intensity. Right? And at the end, we got to know how to delete the transaction. Deleting, applying, moving, exchanging, controlling, intensity control. These all the things can be done. And we got to know where to apply the transactions. And apply means we can write where. Right? And we got to know what is called default transaction. Default. So inside the video transactions, we have learned this much of things within very less time. And there are two keyboard shortcuts we got to know. What is called CTRL plus D and the second Shift plus F5 or 5. So two keyboard shortcut regarding this topic. Right. And the same logic will be applied to the video transactions, to the audio transaction also. But audio transaction is very limited, but video transactions are a lot. Now we have learned how to apply the transaction. This is enough to get a job. But now beyond the job, what are the things we have learned over here? It is tried, these transactions are tried to avoid it inside the movie making process. They don't use transactions. The reason behind it, transaction is a barrier inside the storytelling process. Just now we have learned all the things, that is okay, fine, get your job. But now the next part of your transactions. So this is beyond the syllabus. So hope this much of part is clear. Online, okay. Then I'll go for advanced versions, and it is not required so for you to get a job, but to make your own movie and to enter into the movie industry, it is required. So this is for like any private albums or wedding albums. So these are all things okay. They put random transactions. This is working over there. But now we'll be seeing the advanced version of it. Just I'm taking your approval, because now we'll be involving into the next level of discussion. Fine. What is transaction? We got to know. Where is transaction? We got to know. How to apply the transaction? We got to know. And a bigger statement we have understood here: transactions are avoided. Transactions are avoided. In movie, they don't apply transaction. You'll find the transactions mostly inside the wedding albums. On from a flower, the face is coming. From the butterfly, something is coming. They're all transactions. So why to avoid transactions? Transaction, there is no transaction in the real life. In the real life, we start get birth, we end with death. No transaction in the movie. So in filmmaking, only the transactions are there, because it has to be done in very less time. A lot of cuts are there. So, but the movie maker try to avoid this transaction, because transaction is a third clip which join the two clip. Transaction is a third clip which join two clip, which join the two clips, which is not a part of the clip, which is not a part of the clip. So they try to avoid these transactions. Now the question is how to avoid the transactions. But without transaction, you cannot make a movie, because it will be a cut. Because a movie cannot be closed by switching on the camera and switching off the camera, because a life history has to be tell up. So a lot of cut will be there. So cut will be there, then jump will be there. If jump will be there, then how to avoid the jump without making transaction? Now this is the next level of learning comes. Transactions are done by the movie maker through the audio clip, audio bit. Audio bit become a transaction. Dialogue become a transaction. So hope now start up watching to a movie and see which transaction is used by which director at which position in which way. So this could be a task. Dialogue transaction. So whenever the dialogue is closed, then the next movie, next clip is so. What is your name? The answer is given by the answers. Then at that point, the cut will be there. So here the dialogue become a transaction. In the movies, in the dance sequence, bit is a transaction. When the bit changes, then the clip changes. They don't use the transactions. They use the bit as a transaction. Hope you got to know what is called transaction is. And this is what happening inside the movie. This is avoided. As if they like this syllabus you have learned, you'll get a job. But this is what the movie making process. And the transactions are avoided, and they make the transaction in pre-plan. So dialogue transaction, bit transaction, angle transaction, speed transaction. Just I'm making you to know what are the transactions they use. Speed transaction, right? Then move transaction. Then color transaction. So these are all like different techniques they use to make the transaction. Shape transaction. Shape transaction, color transaction, speed transaction, angle, move, dialogue, bit. These are all the transactions which is used by a pre-planned story making process. They try to avoid all these things. So in the movies, you will find less transactions, but you'll find the cuts, and the cuts are melt up by this technique. Now we'll be seeing, so hope we can able to see some of the examples and start of understanding. Like in the dense, you'll be finding in every bit the news cut will be coming, but audience cannot able to find where the cut is, because the audience brain is deviated by the song bit. So in the dialogue, they get the audience to get involved in such a manner that even the movie is jumping, they cannot able to find the jump, because dialogue become a transaction there. So hope if it is understandable, okay, or else we can start up analyzing it more. It is the extra things what I've provided. Now the next technique, L cut and J cut. So this is new rule of transaction. So what is L cut? What is J cut? Okay. So let us see what is L cut in transaction. So there are golden rule of editing. You can able to search in the net. There are 8 to 10 rules are there. This is one of the rule of video editing. L cut and J cut inside the transaction making. So let us understand it through a illustrations. Then we'll go for practical. Inside the L cut, what happens? Let us take an example. This is a clip or video, and this is the B clip. So this is what the B clip. What is the illustration over here? We can find a L like shape here. Can you see L? Where the first clip sound will be going to the next clip. Here they will not put transactions. This sound become a transaction there. Example, if the hero is starting from his kitchen and going to the airport, then the inside this kitchen room, the sound will get involved inside the airport shot also. So the sound becomes a transaction to make the audience to go into the airport shot. That doesn't show the airport sound as well as airport scene by making a cut. Sound and visual, both the things will make a jump, then it will look a very big jump. So now we have tried to understand what is called L cut means. The first sound will be going till the next clip, and this create a shape like a L. That's why it is called L cut. So this is a format of transactions where the transactions are avoided and the sound become a transaction. Hope we got to know what it is. Exactly the same way, the J cut. Inside the J cut, they make the audience to start the B clip first. Even the A is running on the screen, the B clip sound starts here. So this is what your J cut. So where you can find a J like symbol. B clip sound will, let us take in this same example. If the hero is starting to the airport, inside the kitchen room itself, the airport sound will start. And then after they will give a jump. So here the sound is making the audience to take the scene, and here the jump is there, still they cannot find a jump. So here what we have seen, this all knowledge doesn't require. So here a pre-planned movie doesn't require a transaction. And every shot has to be planned, and this is what the time taking process. This is why the movie is movie. So after the movie cut, if you start putting transactions randomly, this is not planned movie. Okay, so every shot is planned. So hope we got to know what is called J cut and what is L cut in the transaction format. Is it okay online? So here a high voltage like theoretical things has been explained, but try to get this part. It will give you a job. It will be on to the job. Will I move to the next? Now, coming to the next part of discussion. This is not enough. Step transactions are used. This is powerful transactions. So the same sort. What is the illustration I've given? The hero is starting from his home to the airport. Home to airport. In this, how does a professional director or professional editor make the plan before the shooting happens? So they start up making the hero to go with a bike. He's starting with a bike to the airport, right? And they'll make the camera to get from a long shot to close up of a single wheel. And in the next shot, they'll make the aeroplane wheel to go to the long shot, the whole aeroplane. Just I'm making the illustration to show you up. So this is the shape transaction. So at the end of the shot, this will be a wheel, and the starting of the shot, this will be a wheel. But this wheel is of the bike, and this wheel is of the aeroplane. So these two are having less jump. So how does they end the shot, and how does they start the shot? They go for the close-up of the bike, and from the close-up of the aeroplane to the long shot of the aeroplane. So this place they will make. This is a SIP transaction example. So hope we got to know how does the sound become a transaction, how does the SIP become a transaction. Here no transaction are applied by force. So hope this example is reaching home with a bike, aeroplane on the airport. So this wheel, this is also a wheel. So wheel and wheel are circular shapes, and they end of this sort with a circle, they start with the sort with a circle. So two circles will make less jump, though it is long, long. And so I ki jump conpadu. So I will not have more jump. So the same shapes are there. So exactly the same way, these are all the physical transactions which is planned by the director before the shot, and every shot is planned in that manner. So rather than cutting randomly, they cut properly in storyboarding itself before the shooting. So every shot are planned. Some sort are sound plan, sound dialogue, some sort are, if sound is not there, dialogue is not there, beat is not there, then they make shape transactions. Or else they put a sound bit there, but they avoid these transactions, these computer transactions. So hope we have seen the third level now. First level, subjective things, syllabus over here. Then it is advanced technique, J cut, L cut, and this is practically happen inside the movie. Now, this is also not enough. Then they bring creative transactions. Creative transactions. Creative transactions are created by After Effects, motion graphics. So the shot will come first clip, the whole clip will go like this, then the next clip, then the third, then the fourth. So in this way they make the transactions up down, like strips will be coming up. So first strip will open, second strip will go in this way, third will come this, fourth. This is creative transactions are there. So which will be animated format. We'll see that how to make the effects and all. But this is third level. First level, if nothing planned, if planned, this is the things. Now creativity is to be shown, then the third degree will be done. So hope we have understood the concept, and we'll see the animation, and inside the animation we'll see how to create our own transactions. Is it okay? Fine then. So hope we have understood the concept of transactions. Now we'll be seeing like how to apply audio transactions. The same concept, so we'll get it close through the audio also. Rather than sound only, like video only, we can also go with audio. So audio transactions can be applied just the same way by the command called Control Shift D. This is Control D and this is Control Shift D. Audio transaction will apply by default, but it is only fade in, fade out. So hope we have understood now the video transactions. Now we got to know audio transactions with the same logic, only one button different, that is called Shift. Control Shift D. Fade in. So slowly the sound will start. So every movie starts with a fade in and fade out. So here we can also use this control. Same clip, Control Shift D, finish. Control Shift D, out. So if it is not there, you can find Control here, Control Shift D, fade out. So fade in, fade out. So we can control the length and you can see the impact on your screen. Slowly the
सही और गलत की
and slowly it become fade out.
सही और गलत की
The length could be controlled. Video same to same logic, only the difference is Shift button. Control Shift D, that is Control D, and rest of the things are the same. Clip select chala end lo undala, right. Clip select chala, cursor edge lo undala, then Control Shift D, click chala. So the two things. So to go to the end of the clips, when you use the button called up and down arrow, Control Shift D, job start. So hope online we have understood how to apply the audio transaction too. and the option is there inside your control sequence menu, apply audio transactions. But the limitation of the audio transaction will be very less. Inside the same effect control, you can find the audio transactions. You can see here audio transactions, but here we'll find only 2-3 audio transactions, fade in, fade out. But again, we can make a lot of changes inside the audio editing software, but it is not an audio editing software, so less options are there. Here inside the Premiere, you can find an option called Open it Adobe Audition. This is a software which makes the audio to get changed more. So this is the next software which can be connected to. So directly the things will be done over there, and you can find the impact over here. Audio Adobe Audition. Adobe Audition, just like your Adobe Premiere, it's a video editing software. Adobe Premiere, exactly the same way. Adobe Audition is a Adobe's audio editing software, where you can do a lot of changes. Just a video editing कर सकते हो, audio editing कर सकते हो. Audio editing. So this audio editing software. So now we got to know what is video transaction and what is सब कुछ कर सकते हो वो सॉफ्टवेयर में. ये सॉफ्टवेयर में ये वीडियो एडिटिंग सॉफ्टवेयर है. तो वीडियो एडिटिंग सॉफ्टवेयर में वीडियो का एडिटिंग दिया है, ट्रांजैक्शन के लिए 2-3 ट्रांजैक्शन दिया है, फेड इन फेड आउट. बट the whole big difference you can also do in audio editing software and in the market audio editing software like Pro Tool, which is used inside the market. Pro Tool, Uendo, some spelling, check it up. New N-E-U-N-D-O something, Nuendo, and Logic Pro. So these are the software which is used for audio editing. And Adobe companies, one of the software is called Audition. So hope we got to know what is audio editing softwares are available in the market, except to the video editing. We can make the audio to get masterized inside this software, which is used in the market, full-fledged audio editing software. Oh, yes, it's there. Video track is there. Multi-tracking is there. Same, this is of Adobe company, they're of different company. So now we have understood a little bit about like what is called video transactions and what is audio transaction and how to control and where to control. The same process is there, same place to get the control. Now, what is the things to be get observed? Start taking like Ram Gopal Verma of his movie. What are the transactions he applied for his movie? It could be a task. So which movies, which director, which transactions they have used? Some director. Now let us see in a practical example over here. Like this is a movie, right? Now let us see how does the transaction has been applied by the editor over here inside this particular clip. So you can understand what is the impact of the transactions, whatever we have learned, how it is used inside this particular short film. Even the trailer is a short movie. So let us see how does the editor is use the transactions. The first transaction, fade in. Can you see the movie starts? To get the full place, they take some time. Fade out, right? So transaction used by the professional editor. The jump After Effects. After Effects. Effects are done in After Effects. Even some of the effects are here. Just we are seeing how does the transactions are used. What is the editor has used for this trailer? How many type of transaction he is used and what are the transactions he is not used. Here, no dialogue, so there is no jump they cannot do. If they are doing a jump, then it will be a very big jerk. So what they have done? Graham chasing fade in, fade out chasing. Am I right now? Ikkada sound ledu, shapes ledu, aim ledu, forceful ga fade in, fade out, apply chasing by force. But now see.
जब से दुनिया बनी है
because here sound has not been taken because a long dialogue is there.
जब से दुनिया बनी है तब से हर कोने में
now तब से
हर
at the top he has given a cut.
तब से हर कोने में
Ta is a sound which is used as a transaction here. So what is here? Dialogue transaction. Now you can see no software they have used. Now the cut start up coming out, dialogue transaction.
तब से हर कोने में सिर्फ
हर कोने में pause is a transaction. he has used the pause, silence as a transaction here.
कोने में
This one. Idi. Idan? Zoom out. The effects. Animation will be coming up. Animation is a topic. Now we are just studying. ఇదే క్లిప్ మీదే ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ ఎలా చేసింది, how does the transaction has been used, how they have avoided all this knowledge whatever we have learned. ఇక్కడ ఉంటా ఏం నాలెడ్జ్ అసలు యూజ్ చేయలేదు, ఓన్లీ కంట్రోల్ డి ఒకటే యూజ్ చేసింది, మిగిలితే అన్ని మనం నేర్చుకుంది అది బై ఫోర్స్ గా పెట్టినాయి. కానీ దే అవాయిడ్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్, దే యూజ్ దిస్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్స్, డైరెక్ట్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్స్, సైలెన్స్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్స్, సేఫ్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్స్, all the things are used. So check how does they are using the transactions.
सिर्फ एक ही जंग हुई है, सही
Silence, sentence over. Next clip.
सही और गलत की, रोशनी और अंधेरे की.
Here silence, then big fade out and big sound is coming. So a big sound is there and complete black నుంచి immediate white. ఇది పెద్ద జంప్, కానీ ఈ జంప్ కనపడదు. ఎందుకు కనపడతలేదు? సౌండ్ అక్కడ పడింది. Then he is using a very clever technique, sound transaction. So hope we can see how does he has used this. ఇక్కడ పెద్ద సౌండ్ ఉంది, ఇక్కడ సైలెన్స్ చేసింది, స్క్రీన్ కి సౌండ్ కి లింక్ చేసింది. ఇక్కడ జంప్, ఐ ఎక్కడ ఉంది? ఇక్కడ ఉంటుంది. సడన్ గా ఐ ఇక్కడికి వెళ్తుంది, ఇక్కడి నుంచి ఐ ఇక్కడికి వెళ్తుంది. ఇది పెద్ద జంప్, 20 feet స్క్రీన్ మీదే ఇక్కడి నుంచి ఐ టక్కన ఇక్కడికి వస్తుంది. సో ఇక్కడ ఇలా అవాయిడ్ చేయాలా, ఇట్లా ఈ జంప్ కి ఎలా అవాయిడ్ చేయాలా? దెన్ సౌండ్. So every bit is a transaction over here. So they are making a jump on the screen, but the jump is not looking like a jump because these sound become a transaction here. So it's a very clever technique the editor has used. So frame by frame, sound by sound, editor has to work. This is what the professional is. Now we have understood now in a small clip, how does a professional editor works with the sound transactions. Then start finding out safe transaction, dialect transaction. So in a simple clip, we can have to learn all this thing in a trailer. So
ISC ka commander Abu is
so high voltage sounds are there, punchy sounds are there, then they make a jump at every part. Then the sound become a transaction. So hope we can able to study this for 100 of trailers. Then ultimately the brain will be registering how to make a editing. So editing is not in the software, editing is there inside the sound syncing and getting it done. And no tools works over here. It's the observations which works. So hope we have understood now this subject, but how to avoid this subject to go to the next level, that also we have understood. Right? If nothing is working, then we drag drop something can be applied.
कमांडर अबू उस्मान ने 25 भारतीय नर्सों को किडनैप कर लिया
by the ISC.
So that's it for the day. We have tried to catch the eye on creating the transactions, understanding the transactions, and analyzing the transactions and apply the transactions. And we'll see in the next session like how to make animation in Premiere, and that will lead us to create our own clip. Or it is audio transaction, dialect transactions, movement transaction, angle movement. If left to right panning, then the next shot will be left to right panning. So the two shot will match. Movement transactions, then angle transactions, angle, then speed transaction, color transactions, shape transaction. Then we can able to add size transaction, size. So these are like visual language. These languages are used inside the screen to make the transactions. So screen is pack up with this language. There is no hero, there is no heroine, there is no story for a technician. Only this is the thing inside the screen. For the audience, it is hero, it is heroine, it is dance, it is things. But this is the screen language. Once it is under your control, then the movie is under your control. పబ్లిక్ కోసం అక్కడ మహేష్ బాబు వెహిటిక్ కోసం మీకోసం ఓన్లీ షేప్ సైజ్ యాంగిల్ కలర్. దిస్ ఇస్ ఫ్యాక్ట్ ఫర్ ది హాలీవుడ్ టెక్నీషియన్స్. దే డోంట్ అండర్స్టాండ్ ది సెలబ్రిటీ. సో as a technician, the celebrity should not be visible to you. As a technician, on the screen, this much of things are there only. 8 elements are there in the screen. In the eye, if it is sketching to that 8 elements, then you are into the screen language. As a technician, I should not catch to the celebrity. Celebrity మీకు కనపడింది అంటే you are out of focus. No celebrity is there on the screen for you. On screen, only 8 elements are there. So it sounds a little different, but whatever I've studied from foreign authors and works with them, that I'm passing it out. You're just a technician. For you, everything is there on the screen is this 8 elements. That's it for the day. Meet up in the next session with the higher officers.